Hello and welcome to the Main Cave. Now if like me you have an iPad, and in my case I have the iPad Pro 12.9 inch, you may have the Apple keyboard, the official one. Well, mine being 4-year-old version, I bought the smart keyboard back at an eye-watering £200. Well, now I wanted an upgrade for a few reasons that I'll mention in this video, and I decided to look on Amazon and choose the one I like the look of, and then I bought this. This is the ESR iPad Keyboard Case LITE. So if you're new here, we make regular videos on gaming and technology for your smart home, so please do consider subscribing, as we may make a video to make your life easier. I don't want you to miss out. So do hit subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. As I said earlier, I have the Apple Smart Keyboard, and I've had it for about 4 years, same time as my iPad. And has it stood the test of time? Well, yes and no. For starters, it's very well built. It has no external batteries and feels really good to type on. But that's pretty much it. If you look where my third finger rests, it seems to scrape the key and it has worn off. Also, there's no backlight to it. And as I said, it's £200, the real top end of keyboards. And the equivalent keyboard now is the Magic version, and that is just as expensive. So that's where this keyboard comes in. I bought this over Christmas, I've been using it now for the past few weeks, and I feel it strikes the perfect balance of being good with only a few negatives, but at the right price. So let's start off with the price then. This costs £80, however, keep an eye as I got 20% off voucher on Amazon, making it just over £60, which is pretty much a bargain and the sweet spot for this keyboard. It arrived next day and I got to opening it. It's very nicely packaged and lovely presentation, and it has an included USB-C cable and a decent instruction manual, which is welcome. You'll see here that the keyboard comes in 2 parts, which is a huge plus. You put the iPad into the case first, which is a thick rubber membrane type case. You can just stop here and just use the iPad in this case. I found this to be excellent. I loved how when I'm not using the keyboard, I can have it still in its protective case, just carrying it around. It fits nicely with no apparent snagging, even when pulled. It's made of thick black rubber and it hangs over the edge. Even with the screen protector, it fits well. It doesn't really add too much of a footprint either to the iPad, and it weighs in at 216 grams. All of the cutouts and the buttons are spot on, except maybe for where the power button, which is sunk in quite a way and needs a good press in or change of angle of your finger deep into the hole. The Apple Pencil has a place on the top that sits in nicely, instantly recognised by the iPad when in place, and it's held in very well, and at no stage did it get pinged off, which happened regularly when using no case on the smart keyboard. So once you've got it into the iPad case, then you can now add it to your keyboard. Brilliantly, you can do this 2 ways, either portrait or landscape. This is absolutely fantastic, and although I didn't think I would use it as much, I've become a real fan of using the iPad in portrait whilst typing long documents. It's obvious which way the iPad attaches, as it has a camera cutout. Just line it up and it magnetises on very easily. Then once you have 2 angles to either place the iPad either 110 or 120 degrees. 99% of the time I was on the shallower of the angles, meaning it had to face up for me. But to be honest, physically there isn't too much difference, but you will notice that the shallower of the angles is more upright than a smart keyboard, which noticeably slopes further back. You'll see on the top of the keyboard there is a flap. This is more good than bad, as it did get in the way a couple of times. The flap is a great way to secure the iPad closed and keep the pencil even more secure. But each time you have the iPad open, you need to flap it over and secure it back, as it does flop forward and cover the screen. A very minor annoyance, so I just fold it back every time. It's all good. Next up is to connect it, and this is as simple as hitting the Bluetooth key and finding it on your iPad Bluetooth settings. Pair it, and that's it. It connects from wake up very fast. You just open it up and you're good to go. So you have the iPad in the case and on the keyboard. Here's where it gets really good. The keyboard has 6 rows, with the top row dedicated to shortcuts such as volume up, brightness, etc. The only thing I had to get used to was the return key, as it's in the US kind of format with it being a bit smaller, and it's kind of like in the Mac layout. So for the UK, the enter key is smaller, so it does take some getting used to. The keys have a very satisfying feel and feel really enjoyable to type on. I don't type at speed and I can't really tell the difference between the keyboards in terms of words per minute, but I wasn't noticeably missing any keys or any major spelling errors. They have a very short travel distance and are large enough of the space to feel the difference in between them. So here's a quick sound test. As you may have noticed, the keys are backlit. This will affect battery, but to be honest, I charge this up when I charge the iPad, so I haven't actually noticed it running out, and I have it on the highest brightness. You have 3 levels of brightness and 7 different colours: light blue, purple, white, red, green, dark blue, and a yellow. All the keys are shine through as well as round the edges. Talking about the battery then, the keyboard does switch itself off after 10 minutes and turns the RGB keys off after a minute, which will help save some battery. But there is a negative here, but only really coming from the smart keyboard, and that's that the keyboard needs to be charged independently. It's no biggie really, you just need to charge the keyboard and the iPad. There's a light on the top right which flashes when the battery is low, so it's not so much of an issue to know when you are getting low. But if you want to completely turn it off, you need to use the switch on the side next to the USB charging port. This is a little bit fiddly, but you do get used to it. The only issue here really I had with the keys themselves is the key caps feel very much like ABS and collect grease easily. I've noticed that on the spacebar is particularly prone to this, and I found I was cleaning it much more often. I've used the keyboard for hours and hours and found it a very enjoyable experience. The main thing for me was comfort. There are only a couple of issues, such as if you want a light keyboard you can transport easily, you may come a cropper here. It's still very portable at only 21mm thick in the main part, but as for weight, it comes in at just under 1.5 kilograms, which isn't too bad, but noticeable over using the smart keyboard. So overall, a very good keyboard for your iPad at a brilliant price. For £60, this keyboard is batting above its average in many ways. Positives are comfy, looks good, offers loads of protection, landscape, portrait, backlit, the separate iPad case. Negatives are that the keycaps collect a bit of grease, the enter key is small for us UK aficionados, you need to charge it separately, and for some this goes from being a slim portable laptop to the weight of an actual laptop. But overall, if you're looking for a keyboard like me who wants the features that this provides, you won't be disappointed. I'll leave links to this one down below in the description, so please do like, please do subscribe, check it out then, this ESR iPad Keyboard Lite. Till the next video, bye bye.